My name's David Wood, Chair of London Futurists. I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about different varieties of futurists, including Technoprogressives and transhumanists. As I explain these varieties, you might like to think, which kind of futurist are you? Futurists have in common a desire to explore future scenarios, but there are many dimensions in which futurists vary. One of these dimensions varies from those who seek entertainment out of discussing the future, to those who seek insight about what's really possible. People who seek a critical analysis, avoiding wishful thinking, avoiding self-deception, indeed avoiding commercial pressures. A second dimension varies from those who merely wish to observe future possibilities. These people might help others to prepare for the future, up to those who are activists, who actually want to help change the future, who want to help people choose and create the future. A third dimension that varies on how seriously people take the possibility that radical changes might be upon us pretty soon. These radical changes include things like transhumanism and the singularity, and I'll say more about transhumanism shortly. In case it's not clear, London Futurist is positioned here at the top right corner of this diagram, actually projected out in that third dimension as well. London Futurists are seeking real insight about what's possible. We are seeking to help mold the future rather than simply be passive recipients of what comes, and we take seriously the idea that radical changes may be possible soon. The basis for a belief that there may be radical changes happening soon comes from looking at technology as a tremendous driver for change. Technology is accelerating. People build engineering solutions to tackle issues which formerly nobody had any actual solution to. These engineering solutions are based on a spirit of scientific inquiry, critical thinking, and they will be more successful the more that education takes place globally and the more that positive feedback networks are put in place. So that's the engine for change, these positive feedback cycles, which in many ways are accelerating. But even with this starting point, there are, again, two dimensions in which people can look to take advantage of technology as a driver for change. One of these dimensions is Technoprogressives, and the other dimension is transhumanism. To compare these, let's look at this graph, a rough graph of how the quality of life varies today according to number of people, where there are indeed a lot of people who are living less well than the average, and most people are living a lot less well than the people with the highest quality of life. Technoprogressives generally seek to change that diagram as follows, so that many more people who previously were less than average, or certainly well under the maximum quality of life, that they are moved towards the right. So people's lifespan and health span will improve, their access to technology will improve, their access to education will improve. That's what technoprogressives seek to bring about, roughly speaking. Transhumanists, on the other hand, have a different transformation they have in mind, in which at least some people will be very, very significantly removed to the right in this diagram, having a quality of life, a quality of intelligence, a quality of strength, and many other human characteristics that are far in excess of anything that's happened so far in history. And to make this clearer, we can note a little cut in the axis there, so that the people who are lucky enough to benefit from this transformation are far, far to the right of the previous history. These two different approaches emphasize different kinds of technology. Technoprogressives often talk about the importance of very basic technologies such as clean water, urban sanitation, free or low-cost access to healthcare, universal education, improved nutrition, improved exercise, using energy sources that don't have pollution and which are sustainable, that is so-called green energy, and most likely a progressive redistributive taxation. Whereas if you talk to people who describe themselves as transhumanists, the technologies they often mention are instead things like rejuvenation biotechnology, nanobots and other aspects of nanotechnology, smart drugs to significantly enhance the power of the mind, synthetic biology to create new life forms, artificial general intelligence to create beings that are much more intelligent than any that have existed so far, and so forth. So the question arises, why would anybody be interested in this kind of transhumanistic transformation to move just a small number of people, perhaps way out to the right in this diagram, when there are so many easier things that are available that technoprogressives might talk about, in which a larger number of people will appear to be benefiting? And there are various answers that people will give. One answer is simply because it's there. This possibility is now within our grasp, and we should take it. Indeed, it's the next step in global evolution. Evolution, which has been taking place on this planet for billions of years, moving forwards in steps, has given rise to mammals, which gave rise to primates, which gave rise to human beings, will now have another leap forward. It's also in line with the spirit that we should be the best that we can be. In which case, since these opportunities are within our grasp, we should take them. But there are other answers that can also be given. If a small number through this process becomes significantly smarter, then we can probably see much more easily how to ensure that everybody else can benefit and can escape the gravitational pull that's holding many people back from progress today. With this greater intelligence, we'll have better tools than existing market economics, or rather tribal system of politics, or generally medieval philosophical systems, and so forth. So these are the arguments for transhumanism. But there are also very strong arguments that transhumanists need to pay attention to for the case for technoprogressive. If we fail to address the growing social pains of inequality and the decline of opportunity, which is becoming increasingly clear to many people, if we fail to spend time to avert the potential imminent societal collapses, whether it's a collapse in the finance system, a collapse of the environment, energy shocks, and so forth, if we fail to do these things, then the very basis for society is likely to be disrupted, and the foundations for this transhumanistic transformation will most likely disappear. So in fact, we can't just look at one of these directions, we need to pursue both. At least that's the vision that I have taken in the management of London Futurists. That leads me to offer some advice for transhumanists, of whom indeed I count myself as an example. If we transhumanists want to get wider support for our activities from society, we have to address some key points. First, we have to show credible routes in which this technology is going to result in significant benefits for everybody, not just benefits for a few people. We have to challenge the philosophies which basically say that there may only be a small number of winners, that the winner will take all in these scenarios. We have to show that these philosophies don't hold water. We have to show that there are many philosophies in which a wide number of people will benefit. In fact, everybody can benefit from these technologies who wants to take advantage of them. We also have to challenge the philosophies that will talk about an inevitable backlash, that people who will be opposed to this leap forward in evolution, and that there will be an inevitable conflict over the possibility to take up this technology. We also have to debunk some of the myths that are in existence about transhumanism. Myths that say, for example, that all transhumanists are socially selfish, or that all transhumanists are driven by wishful thinking and by a kind of faith. We have to show that there is deep analysis behind transhumanism. We have to show that there are many scenarios which are very feasible and credible, in which everybody will benefit. And we have to show a concern for this wider group of people, rather than just focusing on what's in it for us individually. And lastly, we have to highlight some transhumanist success examples. For more thoughts from London Futurism, to continue this discussion and to look more into the underlying issues, please visit londonfuturists.com.